Professor Gerard Pokero, as an expert on spectrum management, could you tell us our programs, what will happen if Thailand or other country migrate from analog television to digital television?
This is something very important, which is happening to television in general, the television industry and television channels. This change in technology from analog broadcasting to digital broadcasting allows the broadcasting of many more television channels. Just to give you an order of magnitude, the amount of radio spectrum which is used currently by one television channel can be used today or tomorrow by 6 television channels. So there is the possibility of multiplying the number of television channels by 6, so to say. So this is a very delicate situation for television, because we also have, so of course there's much enthusiasm about this among television people, because they are very creative, they want to create new programs, to have new shows, but also we have to keep in mind that the global amount of resources which is available to television channels is somewhat limited. Basically, you have three kinds of resources. If you take any typical country in the world, you have advertising, which is most often the main resource for television channels. You have government subsidies, sometimes based on taxes paid by viewers, and you have the various forms of television on demand, pay TV, etc. So, but this is a pie, which increases only slowly, because advertising, of course, can increase if you have a very interesting, very typical television channel, and it will attract advertisers. But on the other hand, you have, of course, the internet, which progressively grabs more and more advertising. So the resources available for television will be more or less stable or increase only slowly. Public funding, governments all over the world, they don't have so much money, so public funding is also limited, and pay-per-view advertising subscriptions can increase, but not hugely. So if technically it's possible to multiply the number of television channels by 6, the pie of resources, the amount of resources available for television will not be multiplied by 6. So we have to look at this very carefully. We have to make trade-offs, and there's a risk, and we see this already in some countries which have increased the number of television channels. The common observation is that each channel is getting poorer, because when you had 6 channels, for instance, now you have 24 channels, and the amount of resources, the money you can use to create programs, to create shows, this amount of money has been not multiplied but divided. So it's a very delicate decision.
So one analog television, if they move to digital television, they will possibly allow another 6 new.
Yes, another 5. So
another
6
5
as a total.
Yeah, another let's say 6 new digital television, and there will probably will be a huge amount of spectrum left.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. What is your recommendation for the state to make use of those unused spectrum?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't like to interfere with the government decisions. The people in government agencies know much better than I do, of course. But if we look at the experience of countries which already have proceeded with this switch off from analog to digital, what they did is they struck a compromise, a trade-off. And for the trade-off, strangely enough, has been fairly similar in countries like Japan, the US, European countries. 25% of the spectrum which was previously used by analog television has been taken from television and allocated to broadband wireless, which allows the intensive use of smartphones, etc. So I would say what we keep in mind in making this decision is how many television channels are economically viable under the existing circumstances in one country. One country could accommodate maybe 12, another country 15, but not 6 times the existing number of channels. Otherwise, you know, of course, television people are artists. They think like artists. They want to create art. They want to create culture. They want to create information for the people. They are very enthusiastic people. But in behind, we still have, to balance the budget of the channel, and we still have to have the money. So in the end, we have to be careful, seen from the public policy perspective, to make sure the channels have the necessary resources, because having poor channels, poor quality television is not good for anyone. Plus, and if I may, there's also a longer-term question for television, because what we see in countries which already have broadband internet, like in the US or in some European countries or Japan or Korea, television is progressively moving to internet, and because on the internet you can have even on ADSL you can have 50 television channels. It's like on satellite or on cable. So why take the pain to invest in this digital terrestrial technology if, I don't know, 3 or 5 years from now people shift to the internet? So it's kind of a dynamic process, and policymakers, I'm sure, will take into account this dynamic process.
But won't if they move from whatever either terrestrial analog television or terrestrial digital television to internet television, they would suffer the same fate of limited resources in the television industry?
Well, that's a good point, but it's I would say the cost when you put in place a broadcasting network for television and terrestrial, it costs money. Whereas on the internet, adding one channel or subtracting one channel is very cheap. It's very cheap. So I think what's happening in the United States at the moment is interesting. They have moved they have switched off analog 2 years ago. So now television terrestrial is purely digital. But what they see at this moment is that progressively people view television on the internet. So the Federal Communications Commission, the US regulator, is putting in place some mechanism to allow televisions to free frequency bands they do not use anymore.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Professor.
much.
Thank you very much. Very pleasure to see you.
Thank you.